Verse 183. The transformation of the form in time, and the embracing of the soul in the elements and sense organs, which is in its middle way existence, they who thus imagine the birth of a child are not wise men. So we have this story, this conventional story that we subscribe to. This verse is actually put in very general terms, although the translator, Professor Suzuki, has made it particular in terms of the individual and notions of a soul. So this phrase of the soul is not actually in the original. I'll read it without Professor Suzuki's interpolations. The transformation of the form in time, and the embracing in the elements and sense organs, which is in its middle way existence, they who thus imagine are not wise men. So we have to be careful about this use of the word soul. I'll maybe say more about that later, but let's just go along with the general gist of it here. There's a particular belief that's being presented here. The idea of an individual being encapsulated in a body, which is born, goes through life, and at some point dies. This is the conventional understanding, so there's no metaphysics here. You can understand soul, if you prefer, just in terms of individual. The individual is encapsulated in the elements which take the form of the body. So that's straightforward, isn't it? That's the normal understanding. Now this phrase, middle way existence, could be understood in a couple of ways. We could take it in a very conventional way, in keeping with what I just said. We are in between birth and death. This is our middle way existence. Birth and death are the two parentheses, and we are in between, the bit in the middle. Or you could understand it, if you're more traditional in terms of Indian belief, you could understand it as being between the previous life and the next life. So this is our middle way existence. We're between the previous life and the next life. Doesn't matter what you believe, because if you believe either of these, then you are not wise. Because what we're doing here is we're subscribing to the conventional belief that everything has arisen in the past, and that this process will continue in the future. This is the notion of causation, which is the subject of the next verse. What we have to come back to now is the understanding that everything, absolutely everything, is created in this moment. If this seems too much to grasp, then just remember, it's what's happening every night when you dream. Whole realities are being constructed from moment to moment. You meet your old friend, your friend that you met up with previously, maybe yesterday, maybe a couple of days before. You go and have a cup of coffee in a building which was built years previously. Afterwards you might take a walk in the park or go to the countryside, where there are hills and rivers which were forged through eons of geological events. There's a sense that that world has always been there. There's a sense that it's real. And yet, when we wake up, we easily dismiss it. Just a dream, created by the consciousness of the dreamer. Well, when we wake up from this reality, we realize the same thing. Everything is created by consciousness. And there is no dreamer.